Good evening, everyone. Let me start by asking you something. How often do you find yourself worrying about what others think of you? How often do you catch yourself replaying someone's opinion in your mind, wondering if it was a critique or approval? Be honest with yourself, because I know I've been there. You see, we live in a world that's louder than ever. Everyone has a platform. Everyone has an opinion. And somewhere in that chaos, we convince ourselves that all eyes are on us, scrutinizing our every move. But the reality? Most people are too busy fighting their own battles to keep tabs on yours. Now, before you think I'm suggesting you stop caring about life or people, let me clarify, this isn't about indifference. It's about perspective. It's about understanding that your worth, your dreams, your purpose, they don't hinge on the validation of others. Imagine a painter in a crowded gallery. They stand before a blank canvas, overwhelmed by the whispers of the crowd behind them. What will they think of this color? What if they don't like my style? But the crowd isn't really watching. They're busy admiring, critiquing, or worrying about their own paintings. The painter's real challenge isn't the audience, it's finding the courage to create anyway. Life is like that canvas, my friends. You can't let the fear of judgment paralyze your brushstroke. Because here's the irony: the more you focus on your own masterpiece, the more others will stop and admire. Most people are too busy with their own challenges to focus on you. Recognizing this liberates you from the imaginary spotlight and frees you to live authentically. Wasting energy on others' opinions robs you of the strength to build your dreams. Direct your focus inward to align with your values and passions. Validation is a trap. Seeking external approval often leads to disappointment. True fulfillment comes when you validate yourself through actions that reflect your goals and purpose. Failing in front of others can feel intimidating, but it's the fastest way to grow. Embrace failure as a sign of effort and progress rather than worrying about how it looks. Shift your mindset from envy to appreciation. Focus on what's working in your life and watch how your sense of contentment grows. At the end of your life, it won't matter what others thought of you. What matters is how fully and intentionally you lived. Make every day about becoming the best version of yourself. We live in a world where we often feel like we are under constant scrutiny. Social media amplifies this, with every post, photo, or comment potentially up for judgment by countless people. Even in our daily lives, we assume that everyone is paying attention to what we wear, how we act, or what we say. This sense of being perpetually watched can be overwhelming, leading us to tailor our actions and decisions to meet perceived expectations. But here's the truth: the vast majority of people are far too preoccupied with their own lives to spend much time thinking about yours. The idea that everyone is watching us closely is rooted in a psychological phenomenon known as the spotlight effect. This is the tendency to overestimate the degree to which our actions, appearance, or mistakes are noticed by others. You might trip over your words in a conversation or spill coffee on your shirt during a meeting, and for hours afterward you replay the moment, convinced everyone else is still thinking about it. But while it's fresh in your mind, it's likely a fleeting memory, if that for others. They've already moved on to worrying about their own challenges, insecurities, and responsibilities. Why, then, do we cling to the belief that we're constantly being observed? Part of it is human nature. We're social beings hardwired to seek connection and approval. For our ancestors, fitting in with the group was crucial for survival. And being rejected could mean being left out in the wild. Though times have changed, this instinct to gain acceptance persists. It's why we often feel the need to present a polished version of ourselves, to act in ways we think will win others' favor, or to hide our flaws. Modern society reinforces this feeling. Social media, for example, creates the illusion that everyone else is living a perfect, curated life, which pressures us to do the same. The highlight reels we scroll through don't reflect reality, but they still fuel our belief that we're falling short. This false narrative leads us to overanalyze our every move, wondering how it measures up in the eyes of others. But in doing so, we lose sight of the fact that everyone else is doing the same thing, caught in their own cycle of self-consciousness. What's freeing about understanding this dynamic is realizing how much mental space you can reclaim when you stop worrying about what others think. The energy spent editing yourself for an imaginary audience could instead be directed toward pursuing your goals, passions, and authentic self-expression. When you focus on your own path, you not only find more joy in what you do, but you also inspire others by showing them it's okay to let go of societal pressures. Think about a time when you were captivated by someone who seemed completely comfortable in their own skin. They might have had an unusual laugh, a bold fashion sense, or a way of speaking that was unapologetically their own. You admired them not because they were perfect, but because they were genuine. That's the kind of presence we all have the potential to cultivate when we stop performing for others and start living for ourselves. It's also worth noting that most people are dealing with struggles you'll never see. While you're busy worrying about their judgment, they're likely worrying about their own insecurities, whether it's an upcoming deadline, a family issue, or something as simple as what they'll have for dinner. In this way, we're all caught in a cycle of misplaced focus, believing the world revolves around us when, in reality, everyone is the center of their own universe. When you internalize this idea, it becomes easier to take risks and be vulnerable. You might hesitate to share your thoughts in a meeting or post a candid photo online, fearing judgment or rejection. But when you recognize that most people aren't analyzing you as closely as you think, those fears lose their power. You gain the courage to act, not because you're guaranteed approval, but because you realize that the stakes aren't as high as they seem. This shift in perspective also allows you to practice greater empathy. Understanding that others are as preoccupied with their own lives as you are with yours helps you approach people with kindness rather than defensiveness. Instead of interpreting their actions or words as judgments of you, you can see them as reflections of their own internal struggles. This creates space for deeper, more authentic connections built on mutual understanding rather than superficial impressions. Letting go of the illusion of constant scrutiny doesn't mean abandoning self-awareness or consideration for others. It means recognizing that the pressure you feel is largely self-imposed, a narrative you've built in your own mind. When you release that weight, you can begin to live more freely, embracing the things that truly matter and letting go of the things that don't. Energy is one of the most valuable resources we have, yet it's also one of the easiest to squander. We often think of energy in physical terms, how much we can do in a day, how far we can push ourselves, but energy extends far beyond that. It encompasses our mental focus, emotional capacity, and spiritual reserves. The way we direct our energy shapes the quality of our lives, which is why it's so crucial to understand how and where we invest it. Every day we face countless demands on our energy. Work deadlines, family obligations, social interactions, and personal goals all compete for our attention. On top of that, there's an endless stream of distractions, social media notifications, emails, and the constant hum of modern life. It's easy to fall into the trap of trying to do it all, saying yes to everything and spreading ourselves too thin. But when we allow our energy to be pulled in too many directions, we end up drained, overwhelmed, and unable to give our best to the things that truly matter. One of the biggest culprits in energy mismanagement is the need for approval. We often expend enormous amounts of energy worrying about what others think of us, whether we're meeting their expectations or how we're perceived. This kind of mental and emotional labor can be exhausting, leaving us with little capacity for our own dreams and ambitions. It's as if we're constantly running a race where the finish line keeps moving, driven by the hope that someone, somewhere will finally validate us. But the truth is, no one else's opinion can sustain us in the long run. The validation we seek must come from within. Protecting our energy requires us to set boundaries both with others and with ourselves. It's about recognizing that not every task deserves our attention, not every argument is worth engaging in, and not every opportunity aligns with our values. Saying no can be difficult, especially when we fear disappointing others or missing out. But every time we say yes to something that doesn't serve us, we're saying no to something that does. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about creating space for the things that truly nourish us. Another way we squander energy is by dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Regret and anxiety are two sides of the same coin, and both rob us of the present moment. When we replay old mistakes in our minds, hoping to rewrite them, or when we obsess over what might go wrong tomorrow, we're pouring energy into things we can't change or control. The present moment is where our power lies, yet it's often the hardest place to be. Cultivating mindfulness, whether through meditation, deep breathing, or simply paying attention to our surroundings, can help us reclaim our energy from the endless loop of past and future concerns. Our relationships also play a significant role in how we manage our energy. Some people uplift and inspire us, while others drain and deplete us. It's important to surround ourselves with those who encourage our growth and align with our values. This doesn't mean cutting off everyone who challenges us. Growth often comes from constructive conflict and different perspectives. But we need to be mindful of relationships that consistently leave us feeling exhausted, unappreciated, or unsupported. Choosing to invest our energy in connections that are reciprocal and fulfilling is an act of self-care. Taking care of our physical health is another essential component of energy management. Our bodies are the vessels through which we experience life, and neglecting them can lead to a host of problems that sap our energy. Proper nutrition, regular exercise, and adequate sleep are often seen as basics, but they're foundational to everything else we do. When we treat our bodies with care, we're better equipped to handle the demands of daily life and pursue our goals with vigor. Mental clutter is another drain on our energy that's often overlooked. The unfinished to-do list, the pile of unopened mail, the unresolved conflicts, they all weigh on us, even if we're not consciously thinking about them. Simplifying our lives and addressing these lingering tasks can free up mental space and allow us to focus more effectively. It's not about achieving perfection, but about creating an environment that supports rather than hinders us. Validation is something we all seek at some point in our lives. It feels good to be acknowledged, appreciated, or praised. When someone recognizes our hard work, compliments our appearance, or agrees with our opinions, it can give us a sense of worth and belonging. But there is a subtle yet dangerous trap hidden in seeking validation from others. It can become an external measure of our self-worth, one that we continually chase but never truly attain. At its core, validation is about wanting to feel valued and accepted. This is a natural human desire. We are social beings, wired to connect and belong, and part of that connection involves receiving feedback from those around us. However, when we rely too heavily on external validation, we risk losing sight of our own intrinsic value. Our self-esteem becomes tethered to the opinions of others, which are often fleeting, subjective, and influenced by factors beyond our control. One of the challenges of seeking validation is that it is inherently inconsistent. People's opinions can change based on their moods, biases, or personal circumstances. What someone applauds you for today, they might criticize tomorrow. Imagine tailoring your actions, decisions, or appearance to gain approval, only to find that the standards you were trying to meet have shifted. This constant pursuit of external approval is exhausting and leaves you feeling unmoored, as if you're perpetually chasing a moving target. Another issue with validation is that it can create a dependency. When we rely on others to affirm our worth, we give away our power. We allow others to dictate how we feel about ourselves, which can be especially damaging when their feedback is negative or absent. Over time, this dependency can erode our confidence and sense of autonomy. Instead of trusting our own judgment, we start second-guessing our choices and looking outward for reassurance. Social media has amplified this trap to an unprecedented degree. The likes, comments, and shares that dominate online platforms are modern-day forms of validation, and they can be addictive. Each notification provides a dopamine hit, a momentary boost that keeps us coming back for more. But like any addiction, the high doesn't last. The same post that garners praise today can be forgotten tomorrow, leaving us craving the next round of approval. This cycle not only drains our energy, but also skews our priorities, making us focus more on how we are perceived than on what truly matters to us. One of the most insidious aspects of seeking validation is that it often leads us to compromise who we are. In our quest for approval, we may suppress our true feelings, opinions, or desires. We might take on roles or responsibilities that don't align with our values simply to fit in or be liked. Over time, these compromises chip away at our authenticity, leaving us disconnected from ourselves. It's a heavy price to pay for a fleeting sense of acceptance. Ironically, the more we chase validation, the less fulfilling it becomes. External approval is a shallow form of recognition because it doesn't address the deeper need for self-acceptance. Even when others praise us, it often feels hollow if we don't believe in our own worth. True confidence and self-esteem come from within, not from the opinions of others. Breaking free from the validation trap requires a shift in perspective. It starts with recognizing that your worth is not something others can give you, it's something you already possess. You are valuable not because of what others say or think, but because of who you are. This doesn't mean ignoring feedback entirely. Constructive criticism can help us grow, but it does mean distinguishing between external opinions and your own sense of self. Building internal validation takes practice. It involves listening to your own voice and trusting your instincts. It means setting goals based on your values rather than on what will earn you the most praise. It also requires self-compassion, acknowledging your flaws and mistakes without letting them define you. When you validate yourself, you create a stable foundation that isn't shaken by the shifting opinions of others. Part of this process involves redefining success. Instead of measuring your achievements by how much recognition they receive, focus on how they align with your personal goals and values. Celebrate progress, no matter how small, and find joy in the process rather than in the outcome. This shift allows you to take pride in your efforts, regardless of whether others notice them. It's also important to surround yourself with people who support and uplift you. While you shouldn't rely solely on external validation, healthy relationships can provide encouragement and perspective when you need it. The key is to seek connections based on mutual respect and authenticity rather than on a need for approval. Failure is one of the most misunderstood aspects of life. Many of us are taught to fear it, to avoid it at all costs, and to see it as the ultimate indicator of inadequacy or incompetence. Yet failure is an inevitable and necessary part of growth. It is not the enemy of success, but its precursor, a stepping stone that teaches us lessons, builds resilience, and propels us forward. In embracing failure, we find freedom from fear, perfectionism, and the limitations we impose on ourselves. The fear of failure often stems from societal expectations. From a young age, we are conditioned to equate success with worth and failure with shame. Whether it's grades in school, performance at work, or personal milestones, the pressure to excel can feel suffocating. This fear can paralyze us, keeping us stuck in our comfort zones and preventing us from taking risks. We avoid trying new things or pursuing bold ambitions because we are so focused on the possibility of failing. But in doing so, we deny ourselves the chance to grow, to innovate, and to discover what we are truly capable of. Failure, when reframed, becomes a teacher. Every mistake carries a lesson, every setback an opportunity to learn. When we fail, we gain insights into what doesn't work, and those insights are invaluable. They refine our strategy, sharpen our skills, and deepen our understanding. Success, on the other hand, often teaches us little. While it feels good and boosts our confidence, it rarely challenges us in the same way failure does. Success is the result, but failure is the process that leads us there. Think about some of the greatest innovators, leaders, and creators in history. Their stories are often defined not by their successes, but by their failures. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Each failed experiment brought him closer to his ultimate goal of inventing the light bulb. Similarly, J.K. Rowling, before becoming one of the world's most successful authors, faced numerous rejections from publishers. These failures didn't define them, their persistence and willingness to learn from failure did. Failure also builds resilience, a quality that is essential for long-term success. When we fail and get back up, we prove to ourselves that we can handle adversity. Each time we recover, we become stronger and more adaptable. This resilience is what allows us to face future challenges with confidence, knowing that we have the capacity to overcome them. Without failure, we would never develop this inner strength. Embracing failure also liberates us from the need to be perfect. Perfectionism is a heavy burden, one that keeps us from taking action because we're afraid of making mistakes. But when we accept that failure is not only possible but inevitable, we give ourselves permission to start imperfectly. We allow ourselves to take that first step, even if it's messy, because we understand that the path to mastery is paved with missteps. In this way, failure becomes a catalyst for action rather than a barrier. Failure forces us to confront our limitations, but it also shows us how to push past them. It teaches us humility, reminding us that we don't know everything and that there is always more to learn. At the same time, it challenges us to rise above our current abilities, to stretch ourselves in ways we didn't think possible. This duality of humbling us and inspiring us makes failure one of the most transformative experiences we can have. Failure also fosters creativity and innovation. When our original plans fall apart, we are forced to think differently, to approach problems from new angles. Some of the most groundbreaking ideas and discoveries have come from unexpected failures. Post-it notes, for example, were invented when a scientist failed to create a strong adhesive and ended up with a weak one that turned out to be incredibly useful. In this way, failure can lead to outcomes that are even better than what we initially envisioned. Failure, then, is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. It is a natural and necessary part of any journey worth taking. When we let go of our fear of failure, we open ourselves up to possibility, growth, and ultimately freedom. In failure, we find the courage to dream bigger, to try harder, and to live more fully. In a world where comparison has become second nature, finding a sense of gratitude can feel like a revolutionary act. Social media, advertising, and even casual conversations often amplify the tendency to measure ourselves against others. We compare jobs, relationships, possessions, appearances, and accomplishments, always asking ourselves whether we're keeping up, falling behind, or doing better than those around us. But comparison is a thief of joy, robbing us of the ability to appreciate what we already have. Gratitude, on the other hand, shifts our focus inward, reminding us of the abundance already present in our lives and freeing us from the endless cycle of measuring up. Comparison often begins with a simple observation someone else has something we don't. Maybe they've landed a promotion, bought a new home, or seem effortlessly happy. What starts as a harmless notice can quickly spiral into envy, self-doubt, or feelings of inadequacy. This is because comparison rarely paints a full picture. We see the highlight reels of others' lives, but miss the behind-the-scenes struggles, sacrifices, and challenges. In comparing our reality to someone else's curated narrative, we set ourselves up for dissatisfaction. Gratitude interrupts this pattern, encouraging us to focus on what is real and meaningful in our own lives, rather than what appears to be better in someone else's. Gratitude shifts the narrative from "I don't have enough" to "I already have so much." It invites us to acknowledge and appreciate the blessings, big and small, that enrich our lives. This practice is not about ignoring aspirations or settling for less. It's about grounding ourselves in the present moment and recognizing its value. When we approach life with gratitude, we cultivate a sense of contentment that isn't dependent on external circumstances. Instead of longing for what others have, we begin to see the beauty in what is uniquely ours. The act of practicing gratitude is powerful because it rewires the way we think. Our brains are naturally wired to focus on threats, problems, and what's missing, a survival mechanism inherited from our ancestors. While this tendency helped early humans stay alert to danger, it often leads modern humans to fixate on lack and comparison. Gratitude counters this negativity bias by training the mind to seek out the positive. By intentionally focusing on what we're thankful for, we create new mental patterns that foster happiness, resilience, and well-being. One of the simplest ways to cultivate gratitude is through a daily practice. Taking a few moments each day to reflect on what you're grateful for can have profound effects. These don't need to be grand or extraordinary things. A sunny morning, a kind word from a friend, a favorite meal, or even the ability to take a deep breath can all be sources of gratitude. Over time, this practice builds a habit of noticing the good in life, even during challenging times. Gratitude also helps us build stronger, more authentic connections with others. When we're caught in the trap of comparison, relationships can become competitive or strained. We may resent others for their successes or feel inferior in their presence. Gratitude, however, fosters empathy and generosity. When we're genuinely thankful for what we have, it becomes easier to celebrate the achievements and joys of others without feeling threatened. Gratitude creates a sense of abundance, reminding us that there's enough success, happiness, and opportunity to go around. Another way gratitude counters comparison is by aligning us with our values. Comparison often drives us to chase goals that aren't truly ours, aspirations rooted in what we think we should want, rather than what genuinely fulfills us. Gratitude brings us back to our own path. It helps us identify what matters most to us and appreciate the steps we've taken toward those goals. Instead of looking sideways to see how others are progressing, we can look inward and feel proud of our unique journey. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean dismissing challenges or ignoring areas of growth. It means acknowledging that even in difficult times, there is something to be thankful for. This perspective doesn't minimize hardship, it offers balance. When we focus solely on what's lacking, life can feel overwhelming or unfair. Gratitude provides a counterweight, reminding us that even amidst struggle, there is still goodness, love, and possibility. In choosing gratitude over comparison, we also reclaim our energy. Comparison is draining, it pulls us in multiple directions, leaving us exhausted and dissatisfied. Gratitude, by contrast, is energizing. It centers us, helping us focus on what truly matters and giving us the strength to move forward. When we stop comparing and start appreciating, we free ourselves from the mental and emotional clutter that holds us back. Gratitude allows us to see that success, happiness, and fulfillment are not finite resources. Someone else's win doesn't diminish our own. In fact, their success can inspire us, showing us what's possible. Gratitude reminds us that life is not a competition, but a shared experience, one where we can all thrive in our unique ways. By letting go of comparison and embracing gratitude, we find a deeper sense of peace, purpose, and connection. Legacy is a concept often tied to the idea of leaving something behind for future generations, whether it be wealth, achievements, or fame. Many of us think about legacy in terms of what we will be remembered for, how others will speak of us when we're gone. But true legacy is not about the external markers of success or the recognition from others. It is deeply personal, shaped by the values we live by, the relationships we nurture, and the impact we have on the lives of those closest to us. A meaningful legacy is one that reflects who we are at our core and how we choose to make a difference in the world, no matter how small it may seem. When we consider the idea of leaving a legacy, we often think of grand gestures, the great inventions, monumental achievements, or public accolades that history remembers. But a legacy does not have to be famous or visible to the world to be valuable. In fact, the most profound legacies often go unnoticed by the masses, but leave an indelible mark on the people who experience them directly. A parent who nurtures their children with love and wisdom, a teacher who inspires a lifelong passion for learning, a friend who offers unwavering support in times of need, these are all legacies that live on through the lives of others. The ripple effect of our actions can extend far beyond what we can see in our lifetime, and it is through these quiet acts of kindness, integrity, and compassion that we leave the most lasting and meaningful legacies. The legacy we leave is a reflection of the choices we make every day, whether we realize it or not. Each decision we make, no matter how small it may seem, contributes to the story we create. Our words, actions, and intentions shape the narrative that others will remember. It is not the grand moments that define our legacy, but the cumulative effect of how we live our lives day in and day out. Are we living in alignment with our values? Are we cultivating relationships built on trust, kindness, and respect? Are we showing up authentically in every interaction, making a positive difference in the world around us? These are the true markers of the legacy we leave behind. The pursuit of a personal legacy is not about seeking validation or approval from others. It is not about being celebrated or adored. It is about staying true to ourselves and living in a way that feels meaningful. When we focus on living a life that reflects our true essence, we naturally build a legacy that is genuine and fulfilling. This kind of legacy isn't based on how others perceive us, but on how we perceive ourselves. It is the impact we have on the world that comes from a place of authenticity, passion, and purpose, rather than from the need for external recognition. Building a personal legacy often requires us to resist the pressure to conform to societal expectations or to chase after accolades that don't truly reflect our values. The world is full of noise society standards of success, the expectations of others, the constant comparison that leaves us feeling inadequate. But none of these external measures of success will give us the satisfaction and fulfillment that comes from creating a legacy that is personal, meaningful, and true to who we are. It's easy to get caught up in the race for approval, to strive for what others have or what we think we should want. But when we stop chasing external markers of success and instead focus on living in alignment with our values, we begin to create a legacy that is deeply personal and uniquely ours. A personal legacy is also shaped by the challenges we face. It is often in moments of adversity that our true character is revealed. How we respond to hardship, how we persevere in the face of adversity, and how we use our experiences to grow and help others, these are the things that form the foundation of our legacy. It is through our struggles that we develop resilience, empathy, and wisdom, and it is often through our own challenges that we are able to touch the lives of others in meaningful ways. The way we navigate the ups and downs of life is a testament to the kind of legacy we are creating, one that is built on strength, grace, and the ability to overcome. As we think about the legacy we want to leave, it's important to remember that it doesn't have to be about leaving something behind for others to inherit. It can also be about the experiences we create, the lives we touch, and the lessons we share. Our legacy is not a static thing, it evolves over time, shaped by our growth and the ways in which we impact the world. It is a living, breathing testament to the person we are becoming and the life we are creating.